why did you want to upgrade your presentation in the first place?
The main reason, Greg, is because, as you know, I'm a facilitator and a coach. And the typical PowerPoint presentations were not affording me the opportunity to have the conversation with my clientele. It was more of a presentation mode, and I needed a presentation that was going to help to facilitate conversation and spark the discussion, and not so much as this is a training, but more of this truly is an engagement conversation or an engaging conversation that would allow us to take the learnings one step further. The presentations that I were using didn't afford the opportunity for application, nor did it spark interest. It was just words on a screen, and I needed a more interactive style of presentation to help to bring my clients closer to the subject matter.
Right, cool. So tell me a little bit about the process. What was the process like from your side working with us on your presentation, on the development, and what was all that like?
So it was truly an enlightening experience. I didn't know what to expect. I was very cautious, cautiously optimistic. I would even say that I didn't really believe that it was going to work. But working with you and discussing with you what I was looking for and going through the coaching process and actually presenting the materials to you was a phenomenal experience, particularly from the point when you sent me the first draft. I was amazed at how well you captured our conversation through illustration. I was truly amazed, and it was easy to work with you from that point on. I actually thought you must have known my subject matter, but for you to take my idea with just very little input from me and to turn it into such a wonderful presentation was an awesome experience for me.
Oh, that's awesome to hear. Thank you, Daphne. So last question is, so now that you've had the presentation, you've used it at least a couple times. I'm not sure if you've used it once. Now that you've had it, tell me, how has it helped your presentation, your discussion? How has it helped what you're trying to achieve?
Well, so let me start with the first time I used it, and I pulled it up, and one of the ladies in the room said to me, "Wow, that is truly a professional presentation." And being who I am, I said, "As opposed to what?" And so she was kind of caught off guard. She says, "As opposed to just the typical PowerPoint." So the graphics, the presentation itself was well received by the audience. Using it was very beneficial in the flow of the conversation. As you know, within the presentation, we had a number of questions to spark dialogue. The graphics promoted the materials that we were actually portraying or given to the participants. So it was easier to use than a PowerPoint conversation because, again, it was all about the dialogue, and the presentation materials supported the dialogue. I've used it a couple of times since then, and each time that I've used it, I've been able to adapt the slides to the given audiences. So I appreciated the extra slides that you provided for me to add more content if I needed to, and it was easy to use that as well. But the presentation has always been well received, but for me as a facilitator and as a coach, I've felt proud to stand in front of it or beside it to use the materials. And again, it served as a resource for me versus just being a PowerPoint. So nothing against PowerPoint, but for the type of work, because I still use PowerPoint, but for the type of work that I do, your presentations were much more in line with what I needed.
That's awesome. So tell us as we're sharing with the world a little bit about what you do. Why don't you say a little bit about what you do for organizations and the impact that you make?
So I work with organizations to improve their workforce productivity through individual and group coaching. I work with teams as well to help them to improve their productivity, but I also specialize in human resources and working with organizations to ensure that their human resources are aligned with its organizational goals and objectives. I am a coach, I am a facilitator, I am a speaker, and it's all around the framework of productivity powered by people, which is ensuring that the right components are in place in order for a person to have a successful experience in their employment.
If you have any feedback for me, you know, we're growing our business here, working with a lot of folks and upgrading their presentations. If you have any feedback, positive, you know, negative as well, of what we can do better next time and serving other folks, I'd be all ears for that.
Greg, it truly was a positive experience for me. I can't think of any negatives. As a matter of fact, I'm in the process of designing a workshop now around community engagement for the communities. I live outside of Charlottesville, and so the surrounding communities are really interested in having more dialogue around community engagement, diversity and inclusion. And so I'm in the process of designing that now. So I'm sure you and I are going to be working together real soon, because we're going to launch the series in January. And I want to use the same type of format, the same type of conversational presentation. So